Hey, listen up. We got another episode of Wise Kracks, featuring the crack man himself, Bill Krackenberger, and our co-host, John Orlando, straight from Las Vegas. Wise Kracks is your ticket inside the world of sports betting, with tips, picks, special guests, and more. Only on WSN.com.
Hello, everybody. I am John Orlando, and you are back watching Wise Kracks once again with myself and the legend himself, Mr. Bill Krackenberger, as always. How you doing, Bill?
Great, man. Just always in awe of you, John. You're getting us some good guests lately, so I'm going to let you roll right into that. But yeah, great job again.
Yeah, thanks, man. We got a good one this week. We've got NFL retiree Mr. Rodney Peete will be joining us a little later in the show, who played for the Lions for many years. And also he had a nice little 1-year stint with my Cowboys. I wish he could have stayed the next year because he could have got a Super Bowl ring, but it happens. It happens. But yeah, we'll have him joining us later in the show. And we've had kind of a crazy week in football, and it would be wrong of me not to bring up that we lost this legend earlier in the week, Mr. Tommy Lasorda, who gave me this jersey, Crack. He gave me this jersey right off his back.
What a great guy and a legend, and I'm sure you had a good relationship with him. You said that you met him when you were a little kid. Is that right? Did you tell me?
Yeah. My dad played in a Hollywood Stars game in 76. I believe 1976, and we had dugout seats. You know, you've seen Dodger Stadium now, how like the dugout club seats are like built up, and it's really nice. And back in the 70s, it was nice, but not like it is today. You were behind a cage. I don't know if you remember though. Do you remember old video footage of Dodger games where you'd see fans behind the cage?
Yes, behind the cage. Yes.
Yeah. So we were right behind the on deck circle, and so Bill, this is like 76. So figure my dad's TV show was from 1973 till 76 or 77. So my dad was as hot as you could be back in those days. So, you know, we had these incredible seats, and we got to meet all of the Dodgers and Tommy Lasorda, and we would be in the locker room. Whenever I went with my dad after the game, we'd go back in the locker room, and we would specifically sit in Tommy's office. And you know, all the players would come in and he'd talk to them, and there was of course an incredible spread of food, incredible lasagna and whatever. I don't know who cooked back then, but he always had some incredible Italian food. And yeah, I've spent I always say, like, you know, I'm probably exaggerating, but I think I spent more time in the Dodger locker room than any other non-player probably growing up in the 70s, lucky enough because of my dad.
Yeah, you lived in LA at the time, right? So you probably went to a lot of games, right?
Yeah, we went to tons. Yeah, we had season tickets, and we went to, you know, I was little, so someone had to want to go. You know, if I could have drove, I would have gone to every game. But if I had to guess, I probably went to 30 or 40 home games every year.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, Steve Garvey was very good to me back in those days. You know, I've got a couple, as we've talked about on the show. I've got Steve Garvey bats, you know, wristbands, all kinds of stuff. But Lasorda himself was really great to me. And I remember, I'll just give you a quick story, and then we'll move on. But, you know, I remember just a regular season game, me and my dad on a school night, you know, which was a big deal to go to a night game on a school night against mom's wishes, you know, because the game starts at 7, you don't get home till 11 o'clock or midnight, you know. And I remember we went back in the locker room, and we were with Tommy, and for whatever reason, it was like an extra long night. We were just talking to Tommy, and it ends up being just me, my dad, and Tommy as it gets later back there. And Tommy got hungry. There was no more food or whatever in his office, so we went upstairs to the club level, which is now where the suites are. But back then there was a restaurant. Well, there still is on the club level at Dodger Stadium, and so we went in there, and he got like a plate of food. And I remember when we were walking back after he ate. Up there, we're walking through this hallway, and it was like a concrete hallway, and he was still wearing his cleats. He's still in uniform from the game. And I remember that sound specifically of his cleats, like every step with the echo, through the hallway. It's empty. It's by this time, Bill, it's 12:30 or 1 a.m.
Wow.
Okay. And only the cleaning crew is at Dodger Stadium at this point. And I remember every step he took, and I was young. I was maybe 11 years old. And I remember he's holding my hand, and my dad was walking behind us, and Tommy's holding my hand, and every step I hear crunch, crunch, with like his cleats on the metal. And I remember he said to me, John-O, do you have any idea how lucky you are? How many kids would love to be in your shoes right now, because you are walking through Dodger Stadium with the skipper, Tommy Lasorda. Do you have any idea how lucky you are? And I didn't back then, but I do now.
Oh, great story. I love those kind of stories, man.
Yeah.
Very hard, and of course, losing him now, it's a heartfelt moment. And just to hear that you were, holding his hand, walking around like a Budweiser Clydesdale coming through there, clickety clack. I mean, wow. And you're with the main guy. I mean, that's a great story, John. And my condolences to his family. My condolences to your family too. You guys were close to him.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's sad to lose him, but he's had some health issues over the years. 93 years old. We should all be so lucky to get to 93 and do it in the fashion that Tommy Lasorda did. So
absolutely,
rest in peace, Uncle Tom. All right, so get me a little choked up there, Bill.
Should
let's talk football. Yeah. NFL playoffs in full swing. Road teams went 4-2. With the only second-seeded Bills and Saints winning at home this past Sunday. It was,
and you say that 4-2 doesn't sound right for a playoff weekend. This was that super wild card weekend, yeah. So yeah, you're right, and I guess if you want to call it a classic betting moment happened in the Bears game when the Bears scored with no time left at the end to make it 21-9. Didn't go for the extra point. And that's the new rule, though. So it's a new rule in football that you don't go for the extra point there with no time on the clock. And the game closed 11, and it opened up. It moved around. I seen this game at 9, 9.5, 10, 10.5, 11. But it was all around that number. And sure enough, if there was enough time on the clock, it would have landed on 11, or maybe they would have went for 2 there. Obviously, the more I think about it, or maybe they wouldn't have. I don't know. It's so weird how these analytics come in the game now. These 2-point conversions. So that would have been an interesting score. A lot of people got pretty upset that happened. And, it made the sports books lose when the favorites win, especially when the big favorites win and cover. The sports books lose. So they did get the money back, though, with that wild Browns-Steelers game. The must snap at the start of the game. Browns were leading 28-0 first quarter. No one expected that, against Roethlisberger. And, I'll tell you, watching that game, it was almost were like wanted to turn it off after the first half. I mean, it did get a little competitive there for a second, but as soon as Pittsburgh came within the 2 touchdowns, I have to give the guy credit. Let me tell you, Cleveland came right back, Mayfield right back with a touchdown, and they were the right side of the game for sure. So, that's really
that was exciting. That was you're right. It did almost turn the game. Let me ask you something. When those games happen, like with the Bears game, I know you kind of stay away from the sides, but you certainly bet the overs, the unders. Does it irritate you when it gets down to that, and you need them to kick the point and they don't, or you need them to go for it and they don't? Does that stuff I know you don't watch. Well, actually, you do watch the playoff games.
I watched all the playoffs.
When you hear that you lost a game because of that, does it drive you crazy, or do you just take the lump and move on?
I hate to be a little braggadocious. I don't want to brag here, but you know what? It's all part of the game. I go on to the next bet. Very rare do I, dawn on it and say and really thought of, oh my God, I can't believe we lost that one. Now I'll tell you something though. I bet a lot more games than I send out to my customers or Crack Wins. If I was to send them out to the amount of games I bet, they would think I'm nuts. I bet 100 games a week sometimes, and so when I send it out to them, it hurts me a lot more though, because if something should have won, it does bother me a little bit more. I take a little bit more to heart. But we're professionals. We get over it. We know we're going to win. We know we're going to hit 58% or so of the game. So Very rare. You're right. I don't give out sides. And this past week, I did give out the Browns. I'm sorry, not the Browns, the Rams. I give out the Rams to my guys. It's the first NFL side I gave out of the year. I think every show I was on for the week, I gave out the Rams too. So it's good to see them pull through there, 30-20, and they're moving on now. So let's see what happens this weekend. We should have some fun. This is those divisional round, man. This is where it counts again. Lose and go home, just like last week. But we have some different situations here this week, John. We have teams that are well rested, playing against some gritty teams. The Rams and the Packers. Packers at home there, and you know they are home, and it's cold, it's freezing, and now you have the Rams. I don't want to, I hate to say when it's over. What's the word I'm looking for? It's just an overused thing when everyone says, "Oh, these West Coast teams going to East Coast and stuff." Listen, a lot of these guys played college ball in cold. They traveled around in cold cities like Green Bay, so in the Midwest, but. Situation is, I understand. Green Bay is used to playing in this weather. They're used to playing and practicing in the cold. So this should be a fun game, and that's why the point spread it's baked in. That's why you're getting 6.5 or 7 points in this game, being the Rams. And then we go over to we go over to the Ravens and the Bills game. The Ravens and Bills. Listen, both teams got out to. Good starts. Well, I shouldn't. Yeah, they got the good starts early in the year. Then they had a lull. Both teams had a lull in the middle of the season where you were like, were they as good as we thought they were going to be? And then they both came on at the end. Ravens was one of the hottest teams in football, and Bills too. Bills coming on. So this should be a fun game. And I look forward to actually watching these games. And I have a bet on the Bills to win, to get to the Super Bowl. And so I'll be rooting
just to
for
get
them,
there.
but, yeah, just to get there. I don't have to. They don't have to win the game.
Okay.
There was good odds out in Vegas. It was 20-1 at the Westgate for them to win the division. So yeah, it should be fun. I got some good stuff happening this weekend, John.
On Monday night, I went over. I hate college sports. I should say that. I don't know. It's probably going to be blasphemy on this show. I just can't get into college sports for some reason. I'm learning to follow it now because I'm on this show, so at least I can kind of know what I'm talking about. But I went to watch that championship game Monday night. With Jake Ellenberger, our buddy over at where were we? Red Rock, and the over on that game was 75. And it came in at 76. How do they get this stuff right? There was only 2 field goals in the game. How do they get that spot on the game? And as I watched that game, it easily could have been where those, instead of kicking field goals, they were touchdowns. It easily one less fumble, and there would have been another 21 points possibly scored, 18 points possibly scored. How do they get it within one of the over? How is this possible?
I'll tell you right now, it's amazing. That number really should have went over. It was like 89 in live wagering number, because the last 11, 12, I think maybe even more than that, 14 minutes, they didn't score any points in that game.
Right.
It was
before
really
that. It was like a shootout. It was like every possession they would score.
Then Bama just started running the clock down. And good enough for me, because I actually gave out my crack wins guys. I actually gave out under 33 or 33.5 actually on the Ohio State total, on their total points. So I was hoping there wasn't going to be no points scored there for Ohio State. It was in jeopardy for a while. So, but it is amazing how they get it right. It really is.
Let me ask you this. In terms of this weekend's NFL playoffs, I feel like this, when you get in the postseason, and correct me if I'm wrong here, I feel like this is what separates the men from the boys in terms of sports betting. So like example, when I look at Browns Chiefs, I'm all about the Chiefs repeating this year. But when I see Chiefs -10 and the Browns are so hot, it almost blows me away that a playoff team can be getting 10 points. Is that normal? Is it usually like that?
Especially in this round, not usually. If it wasn't the Browns upsetting as a 6-point dog in the Super Wild Card weekend, no, we wouldn't see this kind of a point spread. You're absolutely right. This is a lot of points, but I'll tell you what, we're using the Kansas City Chiefs here. This team can probably name, they can almost name their victory here, I think, in this game. It sounds so square, but it is what it is. So, but I know someone that actually thinks that Browns are going to keep it close. Let's not forget now. Mahomes didn't really play well until the second half of last year's Super Bowl. The first half, it was new to him, but maybe he learned from that too. So we'll see what happens this weekend. It should be a fun game. I think the spread is dead on. I think that's what it should be.
Okay, fair enough. All right, well, sports fans and degen gamblers alike, I've got to tell you, as I do every week, if you haven't already hit up WSN.com, you guys are losing money, and nobody wants to do that. So let's get you guys on the right site. For guys like Bill and even guys like me who just love the action, WSN.com's got promos, bonuses, all the great strategy guys, info on the different state betting laws, and best of all, a free to play NFL Pick'em contest that runs every week where you've got a shot at a $200 Amazon gift card. Bill, I know you've got some thoughts on WSN.com. Tell me what they are.
For sure, John. One of the really cool things about doing this show is I get to promote a site that I actually use. I go to it all the time. So just before the show, I went to it to read some of the articles and stuff. It's a gold mine, WSN.com. Definitely a gold mine for advantage gamblers. It's got everything, the articles, the links, promos for all the best online sports books. Some of these bonuses they have running, there's nothing like them anywhere else. So if you haven't already went there, go check out WSN.com for sure.
And after you guys are done doing that, definitely go over to Crack Wins, download the app, or go to crackwins.com. Everybody over there that's been taking my advice, they've been building their bankroll following your winning methodology, Crack. College basketball, you have yet to have a losing week this season. Am I right in saying that?
You know what? I don't think we had a losing week yet. No, we've really had it's an unprecedented run since September. So It really has. It's been a really good week. It gets harder to win normally towards like March Madness and stuff, but we're even March Madness. I mean, we've had some really good success in college basketball. My best sport. It really is. It's the best sport for me. It's every night. I'm up early in the morning. I get up 5:30 in the morning. I don't go to bed till midnight. It's tough on me too. I really start wearing down sometimes during the days. I look forward to. You look forward to the slower days, and we just don't have that right now across sports. You have NFL, the playoff props happening every weekend, and the playoffs happening now. You have college basketball, like we said. You have NBA basketball. I mean, there's so much stuff going on every day now. I'm looking forward to baseball season already and slowing down a little bit.
You know, the one thing I love the most about Crack Wins, about the app or the site, is that it's free to sign up, and you actually give a free pick out every week for a month, and then people can upgrade. So it's like you let them in for free, you let them get a little taste, and then once I think they get that taste, then they sign up.
Yeah, I'm all about helping gamblers because making them more successful and just to be better bettors, really. And part of that is knowing that everyone doesn't bet the same way. I understand that. You have different levels you bet. So once you sign in, you receive one free play a week for the first month. Then the users can upgrade. There's a basic program package for beginners. There's a middle tier for the more active weekend bettors. And then there's a premium tier for dedicated bettors who get the full slate of my picks. And that's the really only way to make sure you're successful. I mean, like I said, we haven't had a losing month. We haven't had a losing week since September. And going back to last year, we're up 200 units for the year, 200 units for a year and a half. So it's fun. It's fun helping people. It's fun that I like for the sports books to get beat. So join me over at Crack Wins for sure.
And I brought his name up last week, and I did earlier just now, and I only do it because he even made it a point to ask me if I mentioned that the Ellenberger brothers cleaned up last week, and I told him I did tell that story on the show. And the other night on Monday night, he showed me a nice little bankroll that he's built up from Crack Wins, and that is an absolute true story, Crack.
Cool.
So yeah,
cool.
he's real happy. So listen, you can sign up for free, download the app. It's on Apple, it's on Google Play, or just go to crackwins.com, sign up today, and start winning some money from the Crack Man. Well, not from the Crack Man, because of the Crack Man.
I want to give you a little secret. Oh
yeah.
Boy, this is really teetering on Bill. Should you do this or not? But I have to.
Do it.
So I was out with Mr. Ellenberger one night, and I was like, Jake, do you want to win some money in blackjack? He's like, yeah. I said, come on, let's go. I took him out with me one night, and you probably don't know about this, right?
No.
Or do you know? Okay.
I'm jealous.
I took him out with me one night, and I said, "Listen, we're gonna run down some shoes, and you're gonna be the guy playing here with me." So sure enough, we went out one night, and I said, "Listen, whenever I bet big, you should bet big." So we're gonna play $50 a hand, blackjack. If I'm betting black chips, 200-300 a hand, you make sure you're betting. You make sure you're betting money, whatever you feel comfortable betting. So we went out for the night, and that's a memory. I'm going to let him tell you the reason why.
Okay.
There were some really great rules at this blackjack table we had. And listen, we could have lost, of course, because when you're counting cards, the high cards can come out for the dealer too. The aces and
sure.
I keep a side count of aces, and I keep a side count of fives too. But that's for an additional upper level show one of these days. But I keep side counts when I'm counting cards. And we were really fortunate that night. I think I won $2,000, but I'll quit. You don't want to. What you want? You just want to slice them. You don't want to gut them. You don't want to gut them where surveillance and everyone sees what's going on.
Right.
You just want to slice them for a little bit of money. And I told Jake that was going to happen. I think he won 700 and I won 1,900. We left.
Let me ask you this: will you actually split tens? Do you ever split tens?
There are times. I know it's going to sound crazy, but if anyone knows blackjack card counting, there are times that you're supposed to split tens if the count is so high. You have a true positive count. But any smart card counter knows you should never do that, because when you split tens, the dealer now alerts the floor person. The floor person now keeps a better eye on that table. This guy's splitting tens. Either he's out of his mind or he's counting cards. So there are times you're supposed to, but you don't. Listen, people don't know this. When you're counting cards, about 20% of the time, I don't really know the actual number, but I'll say 25% of the time, you don't even hit 16 versus 10. So I know people love to get mad at someone. You didn't hit 16. You didn't play basic strategy. You didn't hit 16 versus 10. Well, there are certain hands in blackjack where you don't hit 16 versus 10 if the count's positive. There's hands you don't hit 16 versus 9. So it's
interesting.
It's very interesting depending on what counting system you use. I can't believe I just got into card counting on.
I know. Let me ask you this: Is there ever a time that you would ever hit a hard 17 against a 10?
No,
never.
Okay.
All right.
No. But like to give you a perfect example, like let's do some basic strategy thing. People don't know this. Basic strategy things like 12 versus 2. Do you know to hit that, John?
I know you're supposed to, and I just can't bring myself to do it. And I want to say, correct me if I'm wrong. I know I hate, if they can bust, I hate taking a card. But I want to say you're also supposed to hit 13 against a 2, right?
Certain hands you are, right? Exactly. But let me give you another one that, very good, John. I'll give you one that no one knows. Well, not that no one knows. I shouldn't say that. A lot of people, the average Joe, has an ace and a 7, which is soft 18, and the dealer has a 9 up or a 10 up. They say good. Absolutely wrong. Absolutely wrong. You got to hit that hand there. You have to just, make it look like the dealer. You just always act like the dealer has the bottom card, that the card that's not facing you is a 10. So you have to get up there to tie him or beat him. So that's good. But all right, enough. I've been throwing out enough casinos for winning betting sports. Let me not get banned for playing blackjack here anymore. Let's go on.
Yeah, right. Let's keep you. Okay, let's move on. Here's what I want to do this week, Bill, if it's okay with you. I want to do something a little new, something a little different. I would like to know, I've got a lot of people been texting me and emailing me. They want to know you better. They're like, we want to know more about what is Crack like when he's not betting, when he's sitting at home. Does he Netflix and chill? What's his story? So I thought, okay, let me take that feedback and let me ask you this, Crack. If you had to put your top 5 TV shows of all time, go.
Wow. It's
on
really
the spot. I put you on the spot. No,
it really is so tough because one, I don't watch any TV, very, very little TV. I watch some YouTube. Right now I'm into the Sammy Gravano podcast every night. He puts a little clip up. It's perfect for me. 15 minutes a night on YouTube. I watch that. I like the old mob stories and stuff. Of course, I like all the mob movies. But I'll do a lot of my show watching actually in the summertime or after March Madness or when it slows down for those 3, 4, 5 months. But it's only maybe literally a show or 2 a night. That's why it's great to have Amazon Prime, Netflix. You can just bang them out and power watch them too.
Yeah.
Breaking Bad. I'll go from 5 to 1. Breaking Bad. I love that show. I thought it was absolutely great that mild-mannered high school chemistry teacher becomes like the badass meth kingpin. But I like what he did. He had no money to leave his family, so I hope I'm not spoiling it for people that haven't seen.
It's okay if they haven't seen it. It's too bad.
Yeah.
At this
So
point,
every single scene has a purpose, and I love Bryan Cranston. He became like an unbelievable favorite actor of mine. Walter White turning into that Heisenberg character. It's just nothing short of mesmerizing. It was fantastic.
It's so good.
The show kept you on the seat of your, every single show you're on the, just wondering what's going to happen next. How you don't want it to end. I remember that. I remember me not wanting it to end.
Yeah.
It was
Let me ask you this:
coaster emotion. Yeah.
Did you watch it when it first came out back in like 08 or 09? Is that when you watched it?
I watched a couple episodes, but then someone got me into it, and I watched them all when it came on, like a whatever Amazon Prime, whatever it was.
I never watched Breaking Bad until 3 years ago. Was the first time.
Wow.
I was such a late bloomer, and it's hands down. It's your number 5. It's my number 1.
Wow. It's number 1. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into a feel good show for me.
Okay.
So, and that's something I actually don't. It's hard for me to watch anything new comedy. I haven't watched anything new comedy wise. I can't watch a comedy movie or nothing like that. It has to be either real. Nonfiction. I can't watch none of the action hero movie things. I can't watch any of the like Will Ferrell. I couldn't name a movie he's ever in. It's not me. It's not me. But I did like Entourage, the show Entourage. It was, I understand it doesn't make everyone's list, but it was just always near the top for me. It was a feel good. It had a happy vibe to me. Whenever I watched the end of it, it just made me feel good. I love the music choices. I love the Doors. So a lot of Doors and Rolling Stones songs. And the first few seasons were probably the better ones, I'm sure. But it's showing the people that don't know the inside of the entertainment business.
Yeah.
The 30-minute episode was perfect too. It's great for someone like with me with like ADD. It was just I got right over it, and I always felt good at the end of it though. So that would be number 4. Did you get into that at all or no?
Oh my God, are you kidding? I love that show.
Oh, good.
And I just recently found out that I'm very good friends with Randall Emmett. I don't know if you know who Randall Emmett is. He's a movie producer. He produced Lone Survivor with Mark Wahlberg, Two Guns with Denzel Washington. He produced The Irishman
cool.
with Pacino, De Niro, and Martin Scorsese. Was up for Best Picture last year, but it didn't win.
Sure.
And I just recently found out, I don't know how I never knew this, that Randall is best friends with Mark Wahlberg, and he used to be Mark Wahlberg's personal assistant. This is years and years ago. And Entourage is based on Mark Wahlberg and Randall Emmett. And I never knew that until literally 2 months ago.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah. Mark Wahlberg. Oh, yeah. He was on one of the episodes too with his guys.
Yeah.
With the real drama and stuff, walking down there saying,
Right.
let's tee it up. Let's tee it up, man. They were like, I got that thing going, but we'll tee it up.
Yeah, Entourage is a great show. Great show. Okay, who's at number 3 for you?
Let's get to another comedy show. And listen, maybe because I'm a New Yorker, I don't know, but people out west love it too. Seinfeld. Seinfeld was a great show. There's, so many times in my life have I used some of those Seinfeld moments amongst my friends or whatever it may be. I mean, it does rank high for a lot of people's lists also. It was dubbed like a show about nothing, but it just remains the undisputed champion of smart sitcoms. Like I said, not a week that goes by I'm with my friends or something in everyday life where you don't find yourself in a situation that reminds you of an episode. Whether it's like the renting a car thing and not holding the reservation, or waiting at a table, waiting at a restaurant to get a table. So you're waiting for a table, and then I remember the Asian restaurant, a Chinese restaurant, the most funniest scenes there. Everything. It just provided so many laughs for me and my friends, my family. I still watch it now on reruns. So
Dude.
How about you, John?
Well, you ready for this shocker? So, which is crazy because I have a comedy background and I loved Seinfeld as a comedian. I've seen him do stand up from back in the day up as recent as 2 years ago here in Vegas. I never saw a single episode of Seinfeld. I'm going to blow you away right now until 2 years ago.
Oh my God. What were you doing that?
I don't know. And I love it. It's like I'm such a late bloomer. People are looking at me like I'm an alien as I start talking about Seinfeld. They're like,
I think they just got like 250 million, maybe more for the, I don't know if they're going to be on what they're going to be on, either Amazon or Netflix or something. They got a ridiculous contract for next year. They're going to be
It's so good, that show.
Yeah.
And the casting, it's like, I don't even know if I have a favorite character because Kramer is just incredible. They're all great.
Greatest body English ever.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that whole cast top to bottom. Yeah, Seinfeld is definitely, I agree with you on that for sure. Okay, who do you have? We've
Well,
got two more left. Who do you have at top, number 2?
speaking of body English, Ed Norton from the Honeymooners had some of the greatest body English ever. And the Honeymooners is, again, it's kind of an East Coast show. I remember, people in Philly, Boston, of course, New York, these more gritty, tough cities. They're all, you know what it is? We're all dreamers. When I was in the Bronx in a housing project as a kid, you just dreamed to, have your own little piece of the lawn, have your own little piece of the grass, and get out of the city, get out of the projects and the tenement buildings, and just have your own house with your own lawn and your own little white picket fence. Well, that's what Ralph Cramden did. He had that time where he just wanted to be able to be there and always had different ways. And he wanted to be able to get Alice, his wife, on the show out of that house and get them ahead. And he came up with all different kind of crazy schemes and harebrained and crazy scenarios. And, my favorite episode is one when he found money on a bus in a suitcase. He opens up the money. It's $50,000. This is 1953. You're a millionaire. So
right.
Automatically he says, I'm a millionaire. He starts spending all the money, giving it out to anybody, anyone that wanted money, and everyone. He helped people. He gave donations to the cop outside. He bought things for Norton and Trixie upstairs, the neighbors. He spent it all, and then in the end, it was counterfeit money. So he got caught with the counterfeit money. The cops, he had to explain it to him. After he quit his job, he called his boss a bum because he knew he had all this money. And now he's got counterfeit money. And at the end of the show, one of my favorite scenes, he tells Alice, listen, I went with it. It came easy and it went just as fast. And anyone knew that had it, they can have it. And he goes, I was a millionaire for a day, more than anyone else in this dump can say, meaning the tenement house he was in. That's like one of my favorite episodes. I love the show, and it always brings a smile on my face and some great memories when I was younger, laying on the floor and my parents in the house. And I'm saying, Mom, can I just stay up till, it was on 11:30. Can I stay up till 11:30, please, to watch the Honeymooners? And they let you watch The Odd Couple was on at 11 o'clock. Then the Honeymooners was on. So it's some great family memories there too. So
fun fact, Jackie Gleason was my dad's first guest on the Tony Orlando and Dawn variety show. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Oh man, but I would love to meet him. Wow.
All right, who do you have at number 1? This is a big coveted ranking here. Who comes in at number 1?
Got to be The Sopranos. You want to know why? I know I have a sickness. I have my ADD. I watch it every single year. I watch every episode, maybe one episode every couple of days or every day, and then I go back to it when it's over. And I'll go back to it a month or two later and start all the episodes over again. So, how can I not rank a show from Jersey about an Italian wise guy for my number 1? Really, I had the pleasure of hanging out. With the whole crew a couple times. I had some great pictures with Gandolfini. I put them up on my Twitter page before, down to earth, incredibly nice people. They had a big party at the Golden Nugget. And I got some great picture with all of the cast right next to Gandolfini and Tony Sirico, which is Paulie Walnuts pointing at me. And
wow,
Gandolfini.
I'm sure you're probably friends with Sharippa, right? Steve Sharippa, are you friends?
What a nice guy. We follow each other on Twitter, and I respond to his stuff. He's got a great podcast all about The Sopranos, and I love Steve. And he's I've been with him many times, and he's a great guy, and I'd love to get him as a guest on the show maybe one of these days.
Yeah, so Steve used to hire me when I did stand-up back in the day. I used to perform at Riviera Comedy Club, so Steve would hire me a couple times a year for that. So,
we could definitely get him on here, so it'd be great.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. So I know it's hard because it's just you're picking 5. Let me throw 2. I'm going to throw one old school show at you and one more recent show just to get your take. Ozark.
Love it. Absolutely love it. I think there's 3 seasons. Is that right, John?
Yeah, they're going to do. There's another one coming. I think March or April. Season 4.
Power watched it, and I thought it was fantastic. Yeah. I love the scenes in there. Yeah, great show. Because it's not maybe a legendary show yet. It hasn't cracked my top 5, but it's a great show. I'll put it right there with like around 5 or 6.
Okay. And then how about this for an old school show? I Love Lucy.
Oh, wow. How can you not like that? My mother, that was everyone's mother's favorite show. I mean, she was unbelievable. And again, she was ahead of her time, the first female to break out like that. And I believe you told us on one of your first shows.
I did.
You actually met her.
I did. Yeah. The Polo Lounge at the Beverly Hills Hotel. We used to eat brunch there. I don't know if it was every week, but a lot. And I remember me, my mom, my dad, we went one morning or, brunch time, whatever. And we're walking through and my dad stopped at this table and was talking to these two people. And it ended up being Groucho Marx and Lucille Ball. And we sat with them. It's crazy. It's just crazy, right? It's crazy.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
unbelievable. I
Yeah.
love that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
All right.
just
Yeah.
one other show too that I absolutely love. I power watched through it too. Was Homeland on Showtime. I thought
That's a good show. Yeah, that's a real good show.
Really good show. So that's one of the newer shows too. But yeah, cool, good stuff.
All right. Well, we will revisit other top fives of you throughout the season. But right now, it's time for us to get to our special guest. We sat down with him a little earlier today. We were with Mr. Rodney Peete, and here it is. All right, Crack, it's time to bring on our guest this week, and we've got a fantastic guest at that. He's a true gentleman from the NFL. After he set records at USC, he finished second to Barry Sanders in the Heisman Trophy running back in '88, and he had an incredible 15-year career in the NFL. He played for the Lions. He played for my beloved Cowboys for a season, and he's also the co-host of Rogan and Rodney on AM 570 Sports Radio and iHeart. He's the other half of the first celebrity power couple. I'm crowning you as the first celebrity power couple with your wife, Holly Robinson Peete. We've got Rodney Peete with us today.
Yeah. What's up? What's up, fellas? Thanks for the intro, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah. How you doing, man?
She is my better 7/8. I wouldn't even call me a half, Johnny. But she's doing great, man. She's busy. In fact, she just joined the cast of American Housewife, so on ABC tonight. So she's staying busy.
I love it. What I've loved about your aside from your football career, Rodney, is post football. You never skipped a beat. I mean, you've been able to stay relevant. Obviously, from Best Damn Sports Show to your reality show, all of the fantastic work you've done with Hollyrod Foundation. How have you been able to transition out of pro football and into an incredible entertainment career as well?
Well, I've been lucky. I've been fortunate. I've been lucky enough to have some good people around me, some good agents, some good managers, a great wife. And she is one has, constantly been in the public eye herself. So a lot of times she drags me along with her, but, I was lucky, man. Best Damn came at a time for me when I was getting ready to retire, and, they offered me the gig, and it was one of the best gigs to go right from playing onto a show like that. And then eventually be able to do other things. And now, currently been on the radio with Fred Rogan here in LA with iHeart and AM 570 for the last 4 years. And as you mentioned, reality shows and things of that nature. I think that, it all comes from a base of family and, our family and the dynamic and what we've done with our foundation and my son, who's 23 now. I'm looking at in your backdrop with the Dodger and Tommy Lasorda jerseys. And, for him to, and John, you've known me a long time. You've known our family a while. And our son, RJ, who was nonverbal, diagnosed with autism, has come a long way. In fact, now he's, one of the clubhouse attendants for the Dodgers and has been doing that for the last 4 years. So we're so proud of him. And that's our main driving force. But for me, I just been lucky, man, and trying to keep my nose clean. And not to say I'm the cleanest guy in the world, but thank God nothing crazy has gotten out, or I've done some crazy stuff that's kind of put me, in a downward spiral, so to speak.
You mentioned the Dodgers just now, and obviously we lost a legend this week in Tommy Lasorda. I'm sure you must have some incredible Tommy Lasorda stories. I know I do. I first met him when I was 6 years old. My dad played in Hollywood Stars Night, and we played. We stayed in very close contact with Tommy. My whole childhood, my whole adult life. Do you have any a good Tommy story you could share?
Yeah, Tommy. If you met him, you never forgot that meeting, and you never forgot that relationship. He was that kind of guy that took the time to get to know you. And that's one of the best things about him, is that it wasn't lip service when Tommy met you or saw you or talked to you. He knew about you. He asked you questions that you knew were personal. So it wasn't like, hey, champ, hey, buddy, hey, kind of, blowing you off a little bit. But I first met him way back in college. I played baseball also at USC, and legendary coach Rod Dado was our coach for my first 2 years there. And him and Tommy Lasorda were the best of friends. I mean, they really were tight. So he would be around our facility. We actually at USC played the Dodgers before they went to spring training. So we would play them at Dodger Stadium. And Tommy was one of those guys that he knew was such a big deal for these college kids to be able to play the Dodgers at Dodger Stadium. And he didn't just throw out, like the 151st player in A-ball to go play against us. We played against Sachs and Marshall at the time. Fernando was on the team at the time. And I remember he pitched Fernando for 2 innings against us in one of the years that we played him. And it happened to be, I think I was a junior at the time at SC. So I had been starting quarterback as well. So I had somewhat of a name for myself. And so Tommy, and I'd met him before, but Tommy started ragging me from the dugout. Hey, Pete, I got Fernando on the hill, Pete. I got Fernando on the hill. Oh, you better put it in play. Fernando, he's a little close to the plate. Back him up, Fernando. And trying to be as cool as I could, I was nervous as hell stepping on the plate against Fernando Valenzuela at Dodger Stadium. But he was just razzing me the whole time from the dugout. But a great guy. I happened to be able to go to dinner with him on his 90th birthday, and just a gentleman. Like I said, knows everything about it. Knew the last time we got together and met. Saw him at Dodger Stadium, obviously several times, but always was personable. And he turned the Dodgers organization into the entertainment organization that it is today.
He sure did. Crack, I see you chomping at the bit over there. I know I'm monopolizing Rodney here in the up top.
Man,
go ahead.
Great. I love listening to stuff like this. I'm an old school sports fan. I'm an old soul. But Rodney, I knew you were a great athlete, but I found out as we were preparing for the show that you were a bit of like a Kyler Murray in your day, all Pac-10 in football and baseball. I read you hit 338 as a senior, was drafted 3 different times in Major League Baseball draft. 88, 90, 88, 89, and 90, right. So they kept hoping you would change your mind, I guess.
Yeah.
Sort of. So did you seriously consider going the baseball route, or what sport was really your first love?
Football was always my first love, but I did consider it, to be honest with you. After my senior year in college, the Oakland A's drafted me for the second time. And I got drafted in football in the 6th round. So I lasted all the way to the 6th round. And as the rounds were going and going and going, it was getting more and more discouraged. Like I was not really going to have an opportunity to play in the NFL, which was my dream, is to play quarterback in the NFL. And at that time, a month later, the Oakland A's drafted me and said, look, we're going to, everybody knows you love football, but we're going to draft you. But listen, we're going to offer you something pretty good. So we really want you to play. So I really started to consider it and play in it. But at the end of the day, I think that the opportunity, as we saw and people kind of question, because Kyler Murray signed a big contract. I didn't have that kind of contract, but he signed a big contract with Oakland and just ended up turning that down to go play football and become the number 1 pick in the draft. But for me, there's nothing like playing quarterback, and there's nothing like playing quarterback in the NFL. And I knew that if I would have went the baseball route, I would have always wondered what it would have been like to play football. And I don't do that now. Having played 16 years in the league, think about, I wish I would have played baseball. Although it would have been fun, the guaranteed money would have been great. But I don't have any regrets making that decision.
Perfect.
Do you think we have a chance to see Tom Brady versus the Chiefs for the Super Bowl this year, or how do you think it's going to shake out?
You know what, that would be great. But I thought this at the beginning of the season, and I know everybody got hyped up when he went to Tampa Bay, but there is something real to changing systems, going to a different place, learning a new offense. I don't care what age you are. I don't care how great you've been. But when you've been at a place for 18, 19 years, however long he was in New England, and then you go to a new place, and then you have to deal with a pandemic with no off season, no real training camp. It's hard to get in the rhythm. I mean, him throwing 40 touchdowns, I think 10 picks, 12 picks, whatever it was a great year for him. But I always looked at it as it's the next year. Next year, I think, is when Tampa Bay really takes it to the next level. I don't know if anybody can go into Green Bay in that cold, even when they don't have fans, and win this year. I think it's Green Bay's championship to lose, or at least getting to the Super Bowl to lose right now. But it will be a great matchup. I think it's going to be Green Bay and Kansas City at the end of the day.
Cool. Well, listen, my last question here, and it was such a cool show and a cool era. Back when you were at Fox's the best damn sports show period, I remember this show, and it was just a show that almost started a trend here. It was way ahead of its time of bringing people together, big personalities with strong opinions, and the banter back and forth about sports, which is now you can't flip on, through channels. Everyone loud hosts trying to one up each other, being loud and the brass. And, what are your memories of that show and how it started? And really, it started a trend of having fun talking sports. What's your memories of that show? It has to be fun. Had to be great.
It was great. It was the one of the best 4 years of my life being on that show, because, like you said, it was great banter. But I think the bigger part of it was, and like you guys, it's not just, you're not just talking X's and O's like a lot of shows were doing back then. It was just, okay, this guy with this stats, he went 2 for 3, and this guy shot 58 percentage from the field and scored 38 points in the Laker game last night, and Tom Brady went 24 for 34 for 400 yards. It wasn't that. It was more about personalities, more about getting behind the scenes, and then the banter back and forth, and then you throw personality like Tom Arnold in there, who brings a comedic element to it. It was so fun, and we had people from all walks of life, because, as you guys know, everybody, well, at least most people at some point or another, played sports, loved sports, wants to talk sports. So we had as many celebrities, actors, business people on as we did athletes, and they would talk sports and chop it up. I mean, some of the best interviews we had were with guys like Vince Vaughn and Matthew McConaughey, were diehard sports fans that wanted to talk about the Bears, or McConaughey. We went back and forth when USC played Texas in the Rose Bowl for the national championship game. Those things were fun. So it was, and we got away with a lot of things back then that you probably can't get away with now.
That's great.
Rodney, thank you so much for coming on. When I think of our history together, I don't know, 15, 20 years, whatever it is, we've thrown so many events together that I was lucky enough to work with you on some Hollywood events, from the Best Damn Sports Shows party in Arizona. We did that one year, and countless events at the Playboy Mansion, of all iconic places. And if anyone out there listening has ever been in the event business, they know everything that can possibly go wrong goes wrong, and you go over budget and things fall apart. And during that whole process, you, like a true quarterback, always kept your composure and got us across the goal line when I got sacked. And I'd like to thank you, for being so great to me over the years. And thanks for coming on Wise Kracks today.
Of course, man. Absolutely. Love you, brother. Anytime you want me, you got me.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Rodney Peete, everybody. Well, that was great. Rodney Peete, what a great guy, huh?
Oh, man, that was cool. I mean, he was an all-around athlete, too. When I did some research on him, I realized, wow, what an athlete he was, and great to have him on here.
Well, Bill, we're tight on time, so before we get out of here, I'm going to give you my can't miss. I know you hate that. My can't miss pick for this weekend. But before we do that, I just want to really quick remind everybody to head over to WSN.com for all the latest information and things you might need to make yourself a better sports bettor, because Crack uses it himself. And while you're at it, go download the Crack Wins app. It's on Apple, it's on Google Play, or you can go to crackwins.com. Is there anything you would like to add to that, Mr. Krackenberger?
Man, we're on fire. There's almost a loss for words. So Crack Wins it's more successful for the customers than I ever thought it could be. And I just want to continue that trend here in 2021. And listen, I know that I hate to be so arrogant or cocky here, but I do know that I know I win. I know. Listen, I've never had a losing quarter, so I know I never had a losing year in 25 plus years. You're talking almost 30 years here. So I'm glad I'm able to share the plays with the customers. And it's a great exacta, like I always say, a great parlay, crackwins.com and WSN.com.
Agreed. And speaking of great parlays, that's a great segue there, Crack. I've got one for you. I said I was going to give you one pick. I'm just going to give you a parlay. The parlay I'm doing. I am going to ride the Chiefs and the Bucks all the way to the Super Bowl. Put them in a parlay, but I'm chicken, Crack. I'm doing the money line. Do you hate me for that?
No. So are you going to do the money line on Kansas City? And I'm looking at the money lines right now. Are you going to do the money line on Kansas City and then put the money line with Tampa Bay?
Yes.
Oh, good. All right. I have no problem with that. No.
You approve? Good. You approve?
Yeah. I'm rooting for you.
All right. Fair enough. Well, we're out of time. We will see you next week. Thanks for watching Wise Kracks.